All right, folks, good Thursday morning. Welcome to AR, Accelerated Retirement, and our weekly debrief. Interesting week. Seems like it's always an interesting week, but this week, tragedy and horror, and of course, that shooting in Nashville is more or less gone from the news. Still haven't seen the manifesto or anything like that, or the transifesto, I guess you could call it. So just heartbreaking week in that respect. Thank God for law enforcement and brave officers. But again, it's gone from the news. The right says what they always say. The left says what they always say, right? Says AR assault ban. She's nuts. She could have gone in there with a handgun and done the same thing. But, you know, the narrative, nobody cares about the victims, and everybody just goes to the politics of what happened. And it's heartbreaking. All right. Heartbreaking as well. A couple Army helos up in Fort Campbell, 101st Airborne, 82nd Airborne, big military base, big Army base in Kentucky. I think they had a midair last night, and don't know how many fatalities, but that sucks. That's brutal. It's awful. It's not good. Don't know how many, but that's sad, very sad. So obviously keep those Army folks and families in your thoughts and prayers. And I'm actually a guy that believes thoughts and prayers work, even though you get made fun of for saying something like that, coming from people who obviously don't pray or believe. Wall Street Journal reporter arrested in Russia on espionage. Obviously, the Journal is going ape shit saying he's not a spy. This is just trumped up, you think? So expect more of this and this type of crap as we go forward. We talked earlier in the week about Belarus getting tactical nukes. Putin announcing that he's going to be sending tactical nukes to Belarus. Again, don't need to waste too much time on the Ukraine part of the brief. It's going to get worse. It is getting worse. It's not getting better. The spring's coming. They're both going to launch an offensive. More young men are going to die, and over land. It sucks. How about the IRS yesterday? Again, completely destroying any narrative from the left. High income people need to pay their fair share. Guess what, folks? The top 1% of U.S. taxpayers pay half the taxes. It needs to be more fair? The top 10% paid nearly 72%. Wow. Meanwhile, the bottom 40% pay nothing. So apparently, the bottom 40% in this country don't use the interstates, don't use social services, don't use the U.S. Navy or the Army, they do. That's fair? That's fair. I don't know why people talk about this all the time and it never happens. A flat tax is the only fair way to go. Income tax is theft. So let me get this straight. The more you make, the more you have to pay. That makes no sense to me. It makes absolute sense to other people. I don't get that. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the rich use the highways and all that stuff less than the bottom. Everybody should pay the same amount. I thought we were all about equity and equality. Well, not when it comes to taxes. So, but that was interesting. And, the IRS ain't no Republican bastion, but these are the facts. Even though they could lie about it, this narrative just doesn't, yeah. Unbelievable. So yeah, what's enough? Should the top 1% pay 60, 80, all of them? I don't get it. So, and then obviously in other IRS news this week, an agent showing up at a reporter's home the day he's supposed to be testifying. Welcome to the 87,000 new IRS employees and what they're going to be doing. We talked about this yesterday. It's really creepy. This is bad. AI, when all the booger eaters say stop, we need a pause, we need to come up with some rules. I think we should listen to them. I'm already creeped out about this because, we talked about this yesterday. Vladimir Putin 5 years ago said, hey, man, whoever controls AI is going to rule the world. Do you think he's got Russian scientists and business people doing this? Of course he does. Do you think they're going to agree to any sort of, hey, let's stop and can we all get along and figure out some rules for AI? The answer is no. This is incredibly dangerous, folks. All of us in this room are old enough to remember one of my favorite movies from the 80s, War Games. Remember? With Matthew Broderick or whatever that guy's name was. The Whopper. That thing, AI. Could you imagine AI running our nation's defense? Putting nukes in Belarus, we must attack first. Boom. So this is going to get worse, and it's bad. Really sad poll out this week that shows we're screwed. I told you on the 28th, it's the end of America. All this stuff started happening. It's weird. That day, this came out, shootings. I'm like, is that a message from God? I just, patriotism and religion, gone. Want of money, up. I'm going to tell you who I talked to yesterday. It was a God call. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Unbelievable call. So I'm trying my best, and I have a new squadron mate to brief you on. So a little bit of a climb. Michael Berry from The Big Short just tweeted out this morning, I was wrong because, what was it, 2 months ago, he's like, get out, 2008 all over again. And then he just tweeted, I was wrong to say get out. So take that for what you will. Remember, the trend is your friend. I drew this earlier in the week. And what happened? It happened. You ready? I said, we drew this and this, and I said it's going to break out either up or down. This triangle needs to be moved over to the right, obviously. I'm using my magic marker, but you get I wish I could draw straight, whatever. Boom, there you go. You can have one of these. These happen in crappy and bear markets. It feels like the banking crisis is past. We're getting ready for end of quarter kind of craziness here. End of March madness. FAU Owls, Saturday. I'll be up at Lakeland at the air show. Got to find a TV, though. So end of quarter, but folks, this can be one of these. I'm keeping my treads on, my May and my June. I got them in 2 portfolios. That's why they're in there. They're treads. But keep those on the back burner. You can be kind of bearish out a couple months or have treads on to protect. And we can have one of these, man. So get ready. Again, when you're presented with new facts, you look at it. And the new facts, quote unquote, is people are like, nah, banking crisis, whatever. The government's got our backs. And Jerome most likely can't keep doing what he's doing because we're holding a gun to our own head. So the narrative kind of right now is this. Okay, well, I reached my article limit. It says one and done. He's done, essentially. Yeah, I'm going to pay to subscribe to Market Watch. I'm good. Stocks see rising risk of recession that ends inflation. Isn't that funny? So here we're in this craziness of we're already in one, I think, but a deeper recession that's going to end inflation. This is kind of what the Fed, I'm not going to say once, they wanted a soft landing, but they didn't listen to me a year and a half ago. Stop pumping money and raise rates right now. Cricket, more money. Stop rate. I said it for a year and a half, and now that they do it, too late. They're breaking shit, right? And the smartest people in the room, the smart money, somehow in their portfolios and the risk management teams didn't think the Fed would raise rates. That's the smart people, folks. They didn't hedge interest rate risk. I don't even have to ask you all. I was just going to look at these people. If I was in Chicago, I'd be like, you're all fucking stupid. It's just not a cute little sign-off I have for my briefs. Make sure you hedge. No, the Fed's not going to raise interest rates. Inflation is at a 40-year high. No, the Fed's going to take care of us. Wall Street. They don't care about Main Street. it's kind of a safe bet. So, no, it's not. I'm joking, but that's kind of, if you were sitting in the risk managers department, the chief risk officers department, apparently they all didn't think, right? These regional banks. I can't even, I can get it. I've been there. I could imagine being at Silicon Valley Bank. The good times are rolling, man. We're in Silicon Valley, startups. I got 1 million shares of this, 1 million shares of that, blah, blah, blah. Free money, no, near zero interest rates. Uh-oh. You mean uh-oh? You didn't plan for this? Step 6 of my planning process is contingency planning. What could possibly go wrong during this mission that we can talk about now instead of freaking out when it happens? Folks, this ain't rocket surgery. It's in my book, From Sea Level to Sea Level. This last step before you go execute your mission is to ask, what if? You're telling me that a political science major from Jersey can think like this, but you all can't? Idiots. Or they're not, I won't call them idiots. They're crazy like a fox. Let's just keep getting drunk, man. And if the bad happens, Uncle Sammy's going to bail us out. It's insane. So there you go, Andrew. Keep using those, man. Absolutely. Keep using those disaster puts. We talked a month ago out into the future about this stuff because it's a good segue, Andrew. A Federal Reserve pivot technically isn't bullish, folks. It will be bullish, but it isn't, right? I said this earlier in the week. The stock market is not the economy, period. Main Street can be getting destroyed and Wall Street is profiting. I'll never forget that Jim Cramer. I have a screenshot on my phone. I took it of the TV. Like the lower third said, like highest, whatever it was, the market, the Dow, whatever that day was up like 1,000 points, and the bottom third said something about like worst job loss in history. Maybe it was during COVID, but anyway, this is a really good math article, right? Which they're saying, something breaking, be it a crisis or a recession, does not bode well for what? Corporate earnings and stock prices. So I'm in this weird zone, right? Because technically a recession, people losing their jobs, is bad. They don't spend. They're not getting a new iPhone. They're not going to Nike to get the new LeBron made in China sneakers by slaves. That's bad, and it should impact the bottom line. Okay, so I'm in a gray area here trying to figure out. That's why this was perfect yesterday when I saw this. I'm like, this is creepy. Again, God reading my mind. Doesn't have to read it. It's in it. So again, we'll go back over to here. This can be, you can have these, man. Yay, crisis averted and everything like that. Until when? Until there's a reckoning when the CFO or the CEO gets on an earnings call and says, shit's bad out there. Again, the stock market's not the economy, and a stock market is made up of what? You ready? Stocks, individual names. So we might start, we were talking about Amazon on Monday, like a month out from earnings. Have they trimmed their sales enough? They're still laying people off, another 9,000, whatever. Andy Jassy, there's a weird transition from climb to cruise, right? We're in that leveling off period where we have to decide if corporations are jiggy with it, right? And excuse me. And let me answer my own question. And the Fed put, clearly, not a Fed put, a Treasury put. Clearly, Janet Yellen jumping in to save capitalism over the past 4 weeks. You got to be bullish. So we got to, we need to. Now is a thinking zone, right? So I'm still collecting some data. I talked to all my groups and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out where we are because it's a weird it's a weird place. I love this headline, and let me give you this. Go look in here and read this stuff, because it's good. It's math, it's history, it's all sorts of stuff. So it's not necessarily bullish, but again, when you look at the left side of a chart, it's not today, it's not present, it's not Janet Yellen, it's not Jerome Powell, it's not the Democrats who are not going to let bad things happen. That sounds like a good thing. No, technically it's not. Bad things need to be able to happen so even better things come, but everybody gets a trophy in this country. We talked about this earlier in the week, and it didn't happen, right? So keep an eye. If you have short calls on Amazon, I think I said 101s would be aggressive. Keep an eye on your 101 short calls between now and tomorrow. If you have 101, I think I have 101 short calls on. I have to keep an eye on it. Not ejecting right now. I'm getting theta. They're in the money a little bit by 80 cents, but the rest of today and tomorrow is a world of time with obviously weekly options. 100 seems to be Amazon's magnet, so we'll see. So keep an eye. If you have short calls, do not let them go out in the money, because you will wake up short shares Saturday morning, and you don't want that. Or you might want that if you think Amazon is going to keep going down. You can take delivery of those shorts. I've done that before. I've done that. You've seen that live. And, when was that? After COVID-ish. I wouldn't mind getting assigned short 500, 300 shares of Amazon, because I knew it was coming back down. I think you guys saw me live do that in one of my accounts for like 30 or 50 grand, whatever it was. It was pretty cool. But that's, it just is. It could have gone up too. It didn't. So I have seen nothing else with AMC. Again, today we get kind of a chop. Hey, it might happen. I don't know. So we briefed this yesterday in weekly options. You could do an in the money bear call spread to tomorrow. What's that priced at now? Very aggressive tactic, but it isn't very aggressive if you believe, right? If your commit criteria are strong, it's not aggressive. It's your commit criteria. So I think yesterday I looked at this pre-market. It was 16 cents. I think when we covered it yesterday, it was 14 or 13. Now it's down to 11. So, and then we hopped in our AMC time machine and went out to May and looked at the upside calls. There was like 130,000. What is it? The 13 strike? Yeah, right there. So if you are a gambler, you like lottery tickets, you're a straight call buyer, there you go. Look at they were 20 cents yesterday. They're still about the same price of those calls. Up to you, man. You guys know my SOP. I tend not to trade options on stocks under $10. They're an option. So you could just buy, 1,000 shares if you wanted to of AMC and let them roll. You could obviously buy 1,000 shares of AMC and sell some at the money calls against it, right? Bought 1,000 shares of AMC and sold 10 calls against it. You're bringing $620. But the buying 1,000 shares of AMC would be for the Amazon potential deal, right? It's pouring rain, and I feel in a rainy mood. So don't know anything about this. But got to brief you on intel that's going on and potential trades. So there you go. Exactly, Bob. Yeah, it's not even $1, right? So, go buy a lottery ticket for $1. There it is. This came out last week. I still laugh at it, though. When in doubt, run to Ma. But our Ma is Amazon, not Apple. It's funny how little the media I look at, I look at all media because I need to see what everybody's doing, including the enemy, but the liberal media kind of gave Tim Cook a pass. When he went to his little China conference and said, "Yay, I love you. This is awesome. What an honor for me to be in this country where you make my phones for nothing with slave labor." So, it's gross. It drips of grossness. Again, I'd love to be in that audience. Hey, Mr. Cook, when the FBI asked you for help stopping a terrorist killing in America, you said no. In China, you bend over backwards to murderers, to a murderer regime, right? You criticize our government in this country and you kiss China's ass. Any comment on that, sir? That's what a real reporter would do. Speak truth to power. Our media, Tim Cook's so brave. I mean, yay. They even say anything. Some media obviously were like, that's just awful. You guys know where I am on this? He, Apple, Nike, LeBron, the NBA, will have to choose someday. And that someday is literally coming. 2027, Xi Jinping ordered the PLA to be able to invade Taiwan. That's the drop dead date, 27. If you're a general or an admiral in the PLA, what are you doing? You're busting your ass to beat that date. So I will quote Obama's pastor, the chickens are coming home to roost, and they will have to choose. And you all know it ain't going to be choosing America. Isn't that awful to say? It's the truth. But again, something died over the past couple of weeks. It just feels like death in this country, literally and figuratively. There's just no... We didn't learn anything from 2008. Hell, the guy that wrote the law after 2008 to prevent this from happening went and worked at a bank that failed. If you were sitting in Hollywood trying to write a script, nobody'd believe that script. Biggest financial disaster in the United States, and it happened again, essentially. And the guy who wrote the law worked at a failed bank, was on the board of a failed bank, but he's blaming crypto. Then why did you get into crypto? Again, smartest guy in the room. Barney Frank ain't no smartest guy in the room, trust me. We got tomorrow. What did we get today? Final GDP sucked. Miss. Crash Kari speaking. This was a lot of Fed Lieutenant Week speak. Tomorrow we'll get a little bit moving market, okay, with inflation, personal income, personal spending, the Chicago PMI, big macro data tomorrow, and some Fed lieutenants, but they're, I think, overseas. It's later, or it's one of them, 10 p.m. and 5:45. Okay, I agree with that, Eric. President Buckley would sign into law, or you know what? I do an Obama Biden. I have a pen and a phone. I don't need Congress. I'd make an executive order. If you are a general or an admiral in our nation's military, you cannot go work in the defense industry in any shape or form. For a defense contractor doing any consulting, you can't do anything but go retire and play golf. Every defense anything is always over budget and not on time. I wonder why. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here's my business card. Give me a call when you're retiring. I got a job for you here at Raytheon. Making more than what you made as a general. Okay, awesome. It's gross. Okay, so I'm feeling a run. We might get a chop back down to the 50 to find a little base here. Hold my treads. Already said it. That's why they're treads. They weren't hedges and they weren't trades. There are treads, but this feels like a little bit of a rally, especially with end of quarter, rebalancing, window dressing, whatever you want to call it, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow might be a very volatile day, especially with what we just talked about. I feel a little bit of a chop back to this 50 to find some altitude. Then there's every reason to be bearish right now, and then there isn't. Isn't that weird? It's just so weird to say, right? This is one of those, I got nearly 3,000 hours in this jet type of moment. Like, hey man, all the instruments are telling me this, but I feel this, which sometimes can get you killed, right? It's called vertigo. Man, I feel like I'm upside down right now. Your instruments are telling you you're straight and level. Oh my God, they're wrong. Probably not. So I'm in a gray area right here. Got a little bit of vertigo. Uh, you know, all the instruments are saying one thing, but my, you know me, old Red sitting on the porch. My knees are kind of aching. That means there's a storm a coming. So yeah. All right. So let's transition here. I gave you this article earlier in the week for you to read about with Cody and then Ty and then Daniel is the COO of our REIT. It's called Healing REIT. If you look in the materials tab of this brief over there on the right, you can download this for yourself. The reason I want you to download it is to look. This is 30 pages of commit criteria. This doesn't get any better for commit criteria. It maps out the whole space, right? That and this interview are awesome. This, I can't help you out anymore. This is some great intel into the space, right? So this is the math going through everything, wellness, longevity, and the centers, folks. And this is where you invest, right? When you see something like this, want to build a property empire around something that ain't even legal. That's what you do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a forward thinker, as a smart human. God takes care of fools, drunks, and sailors. Bases loaded for whiz. 2.5 years ago with Marcus and JT and Robert and JJ, you guys know it. If you've been here long enough, you've seen the journey of my 2.5 year journey. It's been insane. Looking forward to going back down to Costa Rica in May. Looking forward even more to going to Texas this summer as opposed to Costa Rica. I love Awaken Your Soul. I love Doc Martine at the Mission Within. Love, love, love. But you guys know my tagline. It's time to start healing Americans in America. Period. And when, not if, when the DEA or whoever reschedules MDMA for therapeutic use, you got to do it somewhere. This is a whole industry that's going to explode. Now, I led with the life-saving. That's Wiz talking. Now we're going to go Gordon Gekko. Let's make money off of it. If you're just to make money off of it, okay, I get it. I'm a both. You guys know me. I'm bipolar. So, gave you the intel. This was a good study that's got math and science in it, right? And you guys also know where I am with the math and science. I feel there's a bridge. It's not a bridge because they don't meet. It's two sides of a bridge. This side is people like me, our veterans, Aaron, Doc, or Rosie, Dr. Rosie. We can give you anecdotal, this is what I experienced. This is how I feel. This is what I look like now. God, I look at some of the before and after pictures. They took before and after pictures at Awaken. I mean, it's people you look different. Rosie's eyes went from like kind of murky to blue. They look lighter, right? That's on one side of the bridge. The other side of the bridge is who? Scientists. Nothing annoys scientists more than what? Hearing a story like mine and going, and me looking at them and going, how'd that happen? And they go, maybe that bridge is not supposed to meet. Maybe in the middle, there's something, something that's like, yeah, I'm right here. I don't know if the science, well, based on earlier in the week, yesterday, let me take that back. Based on the science, maybe this is a race. See, I did this yesterday, folks. I figured out what hell is. Hell to me would be, quote, living forever in Vladimir Putin's hard drive. That's hell to me. Maybe all this shit is we're all racing to something. I do live forever, and it ain't going to be on a hard drive. I guarantee you. I've seen it. I've experienced it. Why am I rambling about this? Because I don't maybe we're not supposed to connect, right? Maybe we are not supposed to. That bridge is just right in the middle. I'd love this though, right? I mean, because obviously, folks, to legalize all this stuff, you got booger eaters. The FDA ain't going to dig. All right, so this guy walks around a fire circle and kind of feels spirit and gives you as much iboga as he or she's feeling. Yeah. Just not, it's not going to happen. And of course, they laugh at us, right? These people that have been doing this for thousands of years are like, what's an Excel sheet? What are you talking about? God, spirit, Mother Iboga, talks to me and I provide a dose. If I think you need more later, I'll ask you if you want some more. You know, the scientists are like, what? But the DMT, folks, is they're getting there, right? When they use the brain scans, I would have loved to have seen my scans or whatever. You guys know about Marcus? His brain scans from the VA were black and dark and gray, and 3 months after the ibogaine, it was white. The neuroplasticity. So it annoys scientists to see stuff like this and go, oh, we don't know why this is happening. I'd love for them to give me all the math and the science of it. And there's big SAT words in here. I love reading this stuff because I'm like, okay, well, then that's cool. The oxygenated blood, this and that. And I mean, I'm telling you, you feel it, right? And you can ask Aaron or the guys, from our No Fallen Heroes documentary. That's not a documentary. That's now looking to be a series. More on that. You can feel the medicine. And again, Aaron Rodgers didn't do ayahuasca to become a better football player. I didn't do ayahuasca to become a better trader. I did it to heal, to become a better human, father, husband, instructor. Is a better instructor, maybe, is an added benefit. Becoming a better human, everything else ends up getting better. So now let me brief you on a phone call that I had yesterday with a billionaire, Carolyn Raphaelian. She built the Alex and Annie brand. She's right up the street in Delray. Yesterday was her first day meeting with her new executive team. She's launching an entire so a hedge fund, she ended up getting screwed by a hedge fund that took that brand to China and it went out of business. This is her second act. She was on the cover of Forbes in 2019, there it is, the richest self-made women in America. She is without a doubt one of the nicest people I've met. We talked for like an hour and a half yesterday. I felt bad. I'm like, this is like your first day but her medicine woman was on the call with us. One of her best friends her entire life lives in Oregon, and she does all of this stuff underground. They had like tears in their eyes. I gave them the No Fallen Heroes brief. And she's like, what can I do? She said and she's best friends with Mark Wahlberg. Her and Mark want to do something together. Mark Wahlberg's a big Tunnel to Towers and Wounded Warrior. And she asked about that. And I said, well, Carolyn, the big charities, the Navy SEAL Foundation, I think is like a $800 million foundation. All of the big ones are giving us a little bit of a stiff arm. Why? Because it's a crime in America. And she's like, oh my, so I'm not, I won't brief you on everything because it was just an hour and a half of incredibleness. She said, and we'll see, I don't believe anything until it happens, but this was a God moment. She's very spiritual. She's like, I can't believe we're having this call because this is our first day with all these people at this table. And I was looking for something to be doing, because she said the one foundation she helped last time with one of her product lines, she's like, I gave them 0.25% or whatever of all sales, and it was like $2 million a year for their foundation. I'm like, I was blown away. I'm like, she's like, I mean, that's a no-brainer that we can do something like that. But then she went into other stuff. She owns Belcourt Google Belcourt Mansion in Rhode Island. She's best friends with the governor. She's like, URI, University of Rhode Island. She's like, I built the basketball stadium. She's like, why can't URI do like a study with no fallen heroes? I'm like, she was going a million miles a minute. I have like, I look at all these notes that I took from the phone call. I'm like, I'm blown away. So again, no promises of anything, but this lady, the text. So the guy that made this introduction, his name is Jack Doyle. He's the guy that brought Bobby Orr and Jack O'Callahan, the OC from the Miracle on Ice team, to the Boston game that night. So Jack Doyle is a gift from God on this planet. Jack Doyle, if you didn't listen to the podcast, is the Wall Street guy who almost literally walking down the street saw Justin Lepre as a homeless Marine in New York City. Bought him a suit and said, you're hired at my Wall Street firm. Literally, I say I'm trading places and Eddie Murphy. It's Justin Lepre. And you guys know Justin Lepre started Heroic Path to Light in Texas. Here's the text she sent to Jack after the phone call. Thanks again for taking the time to talk to those guys yesterday. I'm prepared to do whatever I can to be helpful in facilitating your interest and involvement. Name it and it's done. These veterans need all the help they can get. It humbles me to see such fearless people weep. I got a little teary on the call because I briefed about seeing my dad and my sister and shit like that again. I'm with you. You can't even believe how perfect that was for the very first meeting with my team. Right after that conversation, Brad started crunching numbers on what we can do, how fast we can do it, and how much we can help. They are all fired up. Thank you for facilitating this relationship, this mission, this journey. We will make a difference. Wow. I'm blown away, folks. So, why my brief? This isn't a foundation brief, but guess what? This is coming. When you have a billionaire, a self-made billionaire female on board, she's like, I can't even. What do we need to do? Yeah, Luttrell's very good friends, obviously with Mark Wahlberg. I don't know if Marcus has briefed Mark on the medicine and his work. So I let people do it on their own. I know he's public about it because we talked about it on the podcast together on the Team Never Quit podcast, obviously. But Mark apparently is going to move. He's moving down here to Delray Beach. And I offered to take her flying in the jet. And I said, tell you what, why don't we get you and Mark in the jet and we'll go out and dogfight? She's like, oh my God, I want to do that. She's like, I will talk. I'm like, oh my God, could you imagine if we flew her and Mark Wahlberg in a dogfight? So, so I am blown away by this. She's launching. It's called Metal Alchemist is her new company. And Jack told me, he's like, dude, it's $1 billion company in a year. Easily. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, maybe a little over a year. So he advises her on stuff. And he talked to her last week about what we do. And she's like, I gotta talk on the phone to this guy. I bring this up because this is coming. This is where you need to be bullish. All I got in my personal accounts right now is Amazon and Psychedelics. Long-term bullish. And then I'm sniping the shit out of this stuff. Oh, really, Andrew? Well, your son's he's here obviously with us, and he's helping, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, episode 53. Yeah, this is Mike's a good guy. I really like him. The one with Justin Lepre, if you want to know about Heroic Path to Light. So, and she was blown away. She's like, why aren't you? So this is illegal here. I'm like, well, check this out. And I hate using air quotes, if you make a church, it's legal. If you use these medicines for sacrament, it's technically legal. Why do I say technically? I've taken a flamethrower to the DEA. The DEA now is the decider of religions in this country. I shared with you that article last week. It's a disgrace. It's gross. And the people that are fighting the DEA they made the mistake of using the word medicine. The DEA is like, ha, we got you. You call these things medicines. And they're like, shit, we should have called them sacraments. Yeah, you didn't. You called them medicine. So that means you're not a religion. Oh, for the love of God. You can't look at a whiz and go, I lost my faith. I've never been more spiritual and connected with God. And you're telling me, sorry, I used the wrong word. It's gross. It's, you guys know where I sit with all this stuff. It's awful. These unelected bureaucrats. It's a pension. It's a jobs program. It's their job to say no. How about you start with maybe, and if we get to no, we tried. Starting with no, where I got you, you use the word medicine instead of sacrament. It makes me furious. So Pam, yes, she's like, well, isn't Mark? He's got like a huge production company. Couldn't he help you with your series? I'm like, wow, that would be interesting. I'm like jumping out of my skin going, yeah, of course. I need to, can I brief this guy? So I'm trying to crawl, walk, run. So yeah, Pam, trust me. And that happens right around the time that this other Hollywood group is, we'll get you the contract today, Wiz, because they want to film Costa Rica, our next Costa Rica. But this happened yesterday. So I'm like, because I like Mark Wahlberg, good Catholic, good family man, great dude, obviously very patriotic with veterans. This other group of folks, I'm not gonna badmouth. I just get that. I don't get Mark Wahlberg energy, so I'm gonna try, Pam. I'm maneuvering. I'm trying to. This is all stuff that's going on. But she was without a doubt the night, and her whole team, they were just blown away. They were like, oh my God, how can we help? And it was great because, yeah, she's like, Tunnel to Towers and Wounded Warrior. I'm like, they're great. Obviously, they're billion-dollar charities. And her medicine woman that was on the call was like, this is where they need to be, those big ones. I'm like, I know. You all, if you can help us, will be on the leading edge of where they're supposed to be. And that really appealed to them. They're like, you're a little, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm trying to scrape together. The last retreat didn't make fundraising. I had to pay, I put money into our foundation. There are other veterans foundations where the people who run it take money out, and they take a lot of money out. Really interesting. Some shit going on in the veteran healing space. I don't want to air dirty laundry, but let's just say it isn't as clean as you think. So exactly, John. I was I was on this call, and it's so funny. She's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in Boca." She's like, "I'm up the street in Delray Beach." I'm like, "Oh my God, let's go grab dinner." She might come to the Panthers game next Saturday. I could not be more excited, but I'm trying to tone it down. I mean, she was like, the fact that Brad, her CFO, who was sitting at the table, got off the call and was already crunching numbers. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, can you crunch kind of quicker? Because we got to pay for Costa Rica in May, and I need to raise some money. So, and that's the other thing, folks. Like a lot of you who I appreciate, I let you donate to the foundation for your half, or some of you, I said, you know what, you can do your full lifetime membership to the foundation. That's what I do, man. I am, I'm doing whatever it takes I will not fail. This failure is not an option. So that was awesome. Anyway, let's get back kind of on target. I told you to do a little research around REITs, right? Not only REITs, but also this stuff. It's coming. So Compass, I think we talked about doing a goose wagon wheel. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it, man. I feel blessed and unstoppable. I can't thank God enough. You guys know me. If you've been here long enough, that old whiz is gone. This guy I am effing fired up to do this. This isn't work. It's not work. Talking to her for an hour and a half was a God moment. And she said that. She's like, there are no such things as coincidences, Wiz. This being our first call as an executive team I'm like, God winks. That's what I call it. So A couple things. Yeah, I love doing the wheels, folks. So on Compass, we got Compass, Atai, MindMed. I have to say this every once in a while, guys, because it's the truth. I need to remind you of like commit criteria, folks. This is the internet. The psychedelic space is the internet. 1999. I'm telling you, man. I'm going to the Benzinga conference in a couple weeks down in Miami. The one I spoke at last year. The first, day is cannabis, or no, first day psychedelics, and then 3 days of cannabis. I'm like, that needs to switch, man. I mean, I support cannabis and medicinal or at least smart social use of cannabis. I love people who are so anti-cannabis and they're drunks or they drink alcohol. I'm like, oh my God, you ever see a bar fight over weed? You ever see somebody get a DUI for weed? You don't want to. You ain't driving if you're high, man. It's drunk driving. It's fights. Alcohol is bad. It's awful, and it's a destructor. So anyway, here's what I'm getting at: is these are lotto tickets, right? Mr. Wonderful said that last year at the Benzinga conference in Miami. He's like, I'm sitting here waiting for the dust to settle. He actually had, I forget which companies he was in at Comp. I think he was in all the big ones, right? But it's a lottery ticket. Some of these, especially with Rick Doblin, the phase 3, we're in phase 3 trials. Well, it's on the screen. I don't have to do this from memory. I can go look at the slide. Definitely download this. Barry, yeah, that's the safer thing to do, quote unquote. Safer would be to do the ETF. Still, if you're new, and I know we have a lot of, you're building shelves out there, so that's that cutting sound. If you, if you want to have a bunch of names, you do the ETF, right? Eli, which link? To the PDF or something else? So here we go. Here's what I wanted to look at. Look at this. Psychedelic treatment methods. Right now, folks, they're, psilocybin, MDMA, LSD. Look at this, folks. We are, look at this. So it's coming to the REIT article, sure. It's coming, and you're not going to do this stuff. You can't do this stuff. You're not going to want to do this stuff in a doctor's office. You can't. It's not the two biggest things with psychedelic treatment is what? Set and setting, right? You need the right mindset to go in, obviously, and the setting needs to be good. People are like, oh, I tried mushroom runs at a concert and it was awful. I'm like, duh. I'm turned off. How about you do it with the right mindset and the right setting? So exactly. It needs to be nice, and it needs to be large enough for 2 people. We're not doing, even if there's a camera in the room, you can't do psychedelic therapy with one-on-one people. I hate saying this, but a dude got in trouble, using MDMA, because MDMA is a heart opener, folks. You love everybody on MDMA, and you can't. It needs to be clinical and done correct. So it's got to be nice. It's got to be large enough, like this, for you and the 2 clinicians and stuff like that. This is, and these are going to be big, folks. I envision, not I do, but the guys who started this obviously envision what? These are clinic level operations, man. If 20 people at a time, it's going to be massive, 7,000 square foot facility, treatment rooms, and, some are for MDMA, some are for psilocybin. Barry, it's over here on your control panel. It says materials. You should have a materials tab over on your little control panel. If you click, does everybody see that? If not, I can post it on the replay page. You're not seeing it in materials? Come on now. I see Healing REIT investor deck. You don't see in materials, options. Oh, wait. I just clicked. Why would you have to do that? I just clicked on attendees can view materials. All right. How about now? Stupid. All right. Thank you, Slick. My bad. I uploaded it to the control panel and I can see it. Why would you upload something if you don't want people? Well, maybe that's why. If you don't want them to see it until whatever. Oh, until like you're ready to present it to them. So there you go. Okay. All right. So a couple ways to go. 2 ways to go in this space. Like I said, I got Amazon and Psychedelics in my personal accounts. I think Jack said he might buy some AMC calls. I help manage my kids' portfolios as well. But this would be the next 2 things to do would be a REIT. Not next 2 things. I'm bullish on the Psychedelics, obviously. But the next thing would be a REIT. This, and it's interesting because guess what? My sister sent this to me. This interview, I mean, Cody, I got it early, but my sister, she's in her morning brief at her firm, Dune Capital, which is one of the largest REITs. She sent it to me. She's like, hey, your buddies, and here, look at our number 2 part of our brief. I'm like, it's cool to get your Wall Street overachieving sister to forward you an email that had this in it. So the fact that it's on my sister's radar now is a big deal. Okay. John, I am glad you asked that, man. It's not a weird question, John, but the vibe is perfect because where's that? Is it Adam? One of the guys, look at this. So John, not creepy. It's awesome. Look at this, folks. We have to talk about this, right? Please let us know for a quick call this week so we can review No Fallen Heroes and make sure we provide you with the proper applications and data request for, look at this, plant medicine law and very insurance savvy. So, John, you are forward thinking and looking. I love the brain power going on in here. So, yes, John, I didn't even have that on my whiteboard yet because I got to get on the phone and talk to these people about insurance. And David, yeah, you as well. You're on my list of people to respond to. So David can provide more into this. So I got David, I got Adam. We have to talk about this, right? Because the answer is yes to insurance. So I'm not smart enough. I think David is clearly smarter than me. He's going to make some intros for me. Insurance is going to have to be part of this, period. So now you can see there's a whole industry-ish coming. And you all, you, are on literally the leading edge of this, okay? So a couple places to invest. You can go with the big companies, a Compass and a Tie. Tie is really cheap. Compass is big and getting bigger. So Compass would be, if I did my financial, remember back in the day, it was Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. It was my gold medal, or it was my gold, silver, bronze. And then I booted Goldman Sachs in favor of JP Morgan. I would do the same thing in the psychedelics. I'd say Compass, Atai, MindMed, if you want to go individual names. If you don't want to do individual names, do the basket of them with SIL. It's an ETF that has all of them in it and more. It's got the big names and the medium and smaller name public psychedelic companies. I talked, oh my God, this was another God moment on the call yesterday with Carolyn. She's like, you wouldn't believe this, Wiz. Was it that yesterday morning, whenever it was? She's like, one of my best friends, my childhood friends, is I think CEO, whoever, a massive heavy at Moderna. She's like, I'm going to call him back and feel out where they are with this stuff. Because I gave them on the halls of Congress speech, I'm like, talking to these like powerful congressmen and chiefs of staff, guess who would they look around before they answered me? They're like, well, Wiz, big pharma, I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. But they're not going to be able to stop this. Why am I rambling about this? Because along with the insurance or the REITs or the individual psychedelic companies, I hate saying this because I think they're evil. Pfizer, Moderna, they're going to have to do something. There's no if, they're already doing it. This is another reason I want to go to the Benzinga conference is the psychedelic day. You all know that I went last year with our medicine woman, Nicole, and I was blown away. And then she brought me back to reality because I was blown away by the PowerPoints and this study and then this. We're taking this out and we can do it in an hour instead of, Wiz getting his ass kicked for 12 hours. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And she's like, no, that's not awesome. When you pull the psychedelic out of psychedelics, now we're back to test tubes and beakers and dudes in lab coats. That's not who God dropped on this planet. He did, she did, it did, but you know what I mean. When you can take psilocybin right out of the ground, man. You guys know the stoned ape theory. Google that and read it. A lot of doctors, a lot of scientists believe that, hey man, there was some sort of halfway upright thing with a sloping forehead that ate psilocybin, and maybe that was the moment. You have to watch on Netflix or whatever it's on, Fantastic Fungi. I'm a fun guy. Fantastic Fungi. So I will get back to you on the insurance thing. David, I got to follow up with. Adam, I have to follow up with. Because that's I didn't even that isn't on top of my radar, but this is great. This is why I love our trading team, because you guys are forward thinking. A tie is a tie, right? ATAI. A tie. Okay. I'm going to think about the insurance, follow up with David, follow up with Adam, and put that on my whiteboard. That's not even up there. I got REITs and the publics. I didn't even think about insurance as a potential trade, but this will explode. This is coming, folks. I can't. So read this when you get a chance. Thank you for telling me you didn't have this. Because this is your commit criteria, not only for the REIT, but just for the space, folks. When you look at the, this is the slide, duh. Maybe if I stuck to what I was going to do with you guys. Here we go. Here. Care Trust, Physicians Realty Trust. I've heard of that one. Doc, obviously, I've heard of Doc. Universal Health Services, I've heard of that one. And Welltower. I've heard of a couple of these REITs. Back in the day, like literally in Chicago, I traded REITs. It's been 15 years since I've traded a REIT or looked at a REIT. So here you go. Here's your intel or your start looking at this stuff. And, from my mouth to God's ears, I can talk. Yes, I've been cleared to talk about a lot of this stuff. So I'm good. I feel better because a lot of this stuff they said publicly. So Healing REIT has already been approached to be bought. I don't even think, or we do. I think we have our first place in Oregon, and somebody. That's what I can't say. I can't say who. That's where I am. We have already been approached to be bought. I'm like, and on our call a couple weeks ago, before I went skiing, they're like, nobody, do you guys want to sell? And everybody's like, nope. So, and you guys know me, man. If, we want to go public sometime this year, talking to the NYSE. I can't wait to be on the floor of the NYSE, hopefully with my beautiful bride as they ring the bell or whatever is going on or going public. So, and I promise, you guys know me, I promise you right now, whatever happens, hopefully it goes up, I will throw 99.9% of that shit over the wall into this foundation. You can't take it with you. So if there's any money that's made, it's going right into No Fallen Heroes, man. Because again, trying to scrounge to get money together to go to Costa Rica it sucks. So why am I rambling about that? Because the fact that if you're using your thinking brain, you could probably, not breaking any NDAs here, you could probably guess maybe it's one of them. So I'll say that. Well, so yes, very good names on this screen to look at. And I'll shake my head. These are the Death Stars. And if Healing REIT right now is Luke Skywalker, there's your names with tractor beams. That's the best way I can say it. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. If my sister is awake to this, the ones that are already in the space are even more awake. So I would look to get bullish. What's the, you know what? Did we do this before? Let's just do it again real quick. Let's take a look at an ETF for the REITs if we don't want to pick individual names. REIT ETF. I forget what's the pro shares. No, I think that was an ad. Yeah, that was an ad. Here we go. 7 best REITs to buy for 2023 from U.S. News and World Report. I think we looked at this before, didn't we? Wow, and look at these, man. Look at the REITs that have, look at the yield. Mort. Wow. Yeah, I'll give you this. This is good stuff. I'm still fishing around here. I mean, you guys know me, before I get long-term bullish on something, you gotta look. We don't have a REIT person in our mastermind group. My REIT person is my sister. So let me do that. I owe her a phone call anyway because our mom is not doing good. She was rushed to the ER last night, so I got to follow up with my sister Kia anyway. Let me do a little bit more digging here. I love this stuff. I love doing this. This is cool stuff. So read this, and let's reconvene on what to do. Specifically with the REITs. So this is I saw furniture. Oh, King of Prussia. Love them all. And they're huge. Oh, UHS. Okay. Have a lot of money in the mental health space and continue to grow. I like what Brent just said. UHS. I really like what Brent just said. Big old market cap. 8. Yeah, look at that. 8B. So, all right. So, sorry I went over a little bit. I'm sitting on my hands with snipers-ish today because I got, thank God that E-Trade got me out. I was on that call and I had to stare at the Zoom, and I didn't want to be looking over here like trading, and E-Trade took me out of a sniper yesterday for about $1,000 loss. So we're in a different mode with the snipers, folks. It's melt up time. You can't, instead of the afternoon slam, it's the afternoon melt. And once you ready? Let me talk to myself for a second. When something's on a tear, either join it or get out of the way. So it's either time to join this melt up or just popcorn-ish. That makes sense? These things can get legs, man. Every time I see the beginning of one of these, I say it. I'm like, put up the pirate flag. You might not like it, but you got to like making money. So I might not like the underlying, but who cares if what I like? I got a feeling that we might have a little legs here. So I might be doing bullish snipers instead of selling into the pops, because just the past, it's a melt up. And when that shit starts happening, again, I'm going to quote the movie War Game, second time in a brief. Sometimes the only winning move is not to play, right? So either join it or get out of the way. All right, guys, good week. Bad week, but a good week. We had a good week of trading, good week of talking and stuff. It's good to be back in the saddle. Missed you guys. It was good to. This is my vacation. No offense to my bride, my children. A week of skiing in a condo, and I love my family, but I'm on vacation right now, hiding in my office and trading. So I think we might meld up until Monday, man. Obviously tomorrow, the data. It'll be an interesting morning tomorrow morning, especially with end of quarter stuff going on and all this data coming out. So I'm personally probably going to just sit on these for a little bit and maybe take a break from sniping because I don't like. First of all, I don't like losing. So, all right, guys. Good stuff. I'll get the replay posted here shortly. I got a lot of work to do on some intel gathering. I'll brief you more on what happens with Carolyn and Metal Alchemist, her new company. But if you all can kind of close your eyes and maybe send a little love for something's going to happen. She's just an incredible one. She's Armenian, right? She's best friends with the Kardashians and Cher, big in the Armenian community, and just seems like a great. She was blown away by everything we had to say. So that was definitely a God moment. I thank God for that. I thank God for you all. And have a good weekend, okay? All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. I'm going to see some of you Saturday and Sunday up in Lakeland at the air show, and I can't wait to see you. So fights on, namaste, and basi basi. I'll see you Monday. Have a good weekend.